All right, so welcome everyone. Thank you again for joining our free online lesson. My name is Nabil Fikri bin Shaizan and I'm an application engineer from for the DMS section. So welcome everybody. So welcome Min, welcome Azam, Nadia, Akila. So welcome Li Ahmad, Design, and also Irfan. So welcome to our free online lesson. So for today's topic, I would like to share with you about the application from on the AutoCAD, which is layer and properties. Right, so basically this is the agenda for today. So we're going to take a look on the first thing. We're going to create and edit properties, and we're going to create and edit the layers. So the properties basically just the appearance of your sketches, such as colors, line type, line weight, transparency, and so on. So basically not much thing from the properties. So most likely we're going to view more on the layer because there are more settings that you can create on the layer. So basically you can create line with different settings. But first we're going to take a look on what is the properties. So let me just share my AutoCAD. Now, so what I have here is a sample file. Right, so basically on this particular sample file, you can see my sketches has different layers or different colors. Right, so some have different line types and also line weight. So we're going to take a look on that particular settings. Right, so welcome Daniel. Thank you for joining our free online lesson. Now let me just continue. So the first thing is on the home tab, you will see over here we have layers. So this is where we can mention layers. So if you go to the right side, and then you have the properties over here. So properties is basically the things that you can control, which is on the colors, the line types, and also the line weight, and also the transparency. Now let's take a look on layer first. So on the layer, we can actually apply different types of properties. So if I drop down, so I have different types of layers which I can control. So different layers has different colors and settings and so on. So if I click and close some of these, I can filter it out. So it's easier to manage your AutoCAD. So let me go to the properties first, and we're going to take a look on the some of these appearance that you can choose. So first of all, I'm going to set my layer to 0, basically the default layers. And I'm going to start by creating a straight line over here. So you can see over here, this is just a simple straight line. Some of the things that we can do from here is that, first of all, on the properties, so we can select and change the colors. So if I select this line over here, so if you drop down, you can see it is now actually set by layer. So basically, if that particular layer is colored with red, so this one will be override into red color. But if it's still on red, I want to have a different layer. So I can just choose anything from below here. All right, so welcome Eden to our free online lesson. Right. So from this color button over here, so I can override any color that I want. For example, let me just choose yellow. So I have one line with the yellow colors. So I have another one. Say I'm going to drop down. I'm going to select more colors, so I can select any colors that I want from here. So that is basically for coloring. So the best way is you set by layer because you want it to follow one layer. So you can just click by layer. And below here, we have the line weight properties. So what it does is basically allow you to manage your line, make it a little bit thicker or thinner. So you can select if you drop down from here. So we have some of these line weights that you can choose. Right? For example, 0.3, so it's a little bit thicker, 0.8, more thicker, and so on. Right? So if you needed to change the settings, or you needed to make your own types of line weight, so you can select line weight settings, and then you can create it from here. So you can change from here. Now let's say I'm going to make this line a little bit thicker. So let me just give it around 0.35. And this one, I'm going to just set it one as 0.00. And the yellow one, I'm going to set a little bit more thicker. So I'm going to give it around, let's say 1 millimeters. Now you can see, even though I have applied these settings, so if I click over here, you can see the color set on layer. Line weight is set 0.0. This one is set color yellow with a line weight of 1, and below here we have the line weight of 0.35. However, nothing's actually changed from here. Is because you needed to activate the layer. Now, to see your layer, your line weight, so you can find at the below here we have the show or hide line weight. So if this button does not appear over here, so you can always go back to the customization and ensure the line weight is turned on. So once I click over here, then you can start to see that my line that have been applied with the current line weight that I've set up. So let me just click another line and give it another settings, and then you will see my line follow the line weight that I have selected from here. So that is the line weight. So if you don't want to see the line weight, so you can simply toggle off or on. So this one is up to you. So we have go to the line weight, and below here we also have the line types, right? So we have multiple line types. So by default, you're going only to see the continuous line. So to add more lines, so I can click at this, but over here we already have some. So if I click hidden line and I click the line, then you will see my line is actually a dash line, basically a hidden line. So I can just simply select from here. So if you need to add more line types, so you can go to others, and then over here you can select load. So let me just hide it first. So you can add load. Then you can select any type of line types that you want. For example, let me just select the zigzag line over here. So you can see the zigzag has been added. And then I can select the zigzag button. So when I click the line, so the line will follow the zigzag button over here. Now, when you draw something, there are some cases that your line weight, your line types scale might not be the one that you needed. For example, if I needed to create a boxes with this height, and this box need to have a hidden line and a dash line, but the only problem is the size is very small, so you don't see the line types shown over here. So in that case, you can change the scale of your line types. So to do that, you can drop down on the line types, select others. On the line type manager over here, you can select show details. So once you click show details, you have the details over here, which you can select. So on the first thing is we have global scale factor. Basically, it's going to scale all of the line over here. So if I change my global scale factor, the zigzag will be changed. The hidden line will be changed. Basically, everything will be changed. But if I only need to change the hidden line only, I don't want to change the zigzag and others. So for that case, you can select current object scale. So let me just reduce my current object scale so that my square box can be seen. My square box can now be seen with the line type of hidden. So I'm going to scale this one into, let's say, around 0.05. I'm going to press OK, and then you will start to see it is become much smaller. So that you can change your line types from the line type manager from here. So this is basically, I select global scale factor. Basically, it's going to apply on the zigzag on the center as well. So you can always just come back here and change back if you need. Another thing from the properties over here, we also have transparency. So if you needed to add transparent on your line, so let me just give it around, say, let me just click I'm going to select center, and let me just give it a lighter color, cyan, for example. Now, what I'm going to do here is that I'm going to make this line become a transparent. So to make it clear, so let me just show this one. Okay, so this one is very bright. So if you needed to make it a little bit transparent, so you can drop down and set the transparency value from here. So I'm going to select this line over here, and I'm going to give it a transparency value. So the lowest one, basically no transparent, is 0. So the higher the transparency value over here, so that the transparent will be much more visible. So you can see my transparency has now been changed according to my value over here. So the most highest transparency value, the maximum is the 90 value. So let me just uncheck, then you can see it is very visible. So that is the transparency that you can choose from here. All right, so that is basically on the properties. Now we can take a look on the layers. I have created some layers over here. So there are some things that you can edit from here, right? So you can turn on and off if you need to. Maybe I don't want to see this partition, so I can turn off. So that particular partition will be disappeared. So that is the layer. So let's take a look on how to create the layers. To create the layers, we can go to the layer properties. And then over here, you can see I have many types of layers. So I'm going to go ahead and create a new layer. So to do that, you can click on this new button at the top over here. And I'm just going to leave it the name as layer 1. So you can rename any layer that you want. I'm just going to leave it as layer 1, or maybe I just add some 0 so that I can find this layer very easily. So 0 layer 1, or let's say I just rename it as 01 layer 1. Now once I have created my layers, so over here I can set my properties, basically the same that we have on the properties over here. So I can set is on, let's say I'm going to give it around red colors. I can set the line type, so basically the line type that we have over here. So if you need to load, so you can always press the load button and find any other line types that you can choose from here. So line types and also the line weight, so you can select the line weight. And lastly, the transparency value here, so you can set up. So the maximum is 90. So let me just close this one. So once we have created, so you can drop down and find your layer that you have created. So 01 layer 1, which is the one that I have created. But if I try to draw, so you can see I set my layer to red colors. So if I try to draw, my line type is actually becomes cyan. So that is because on the properties we set on the cyan color instead of bilayer. So take a note on that. So make sure your line type is set on, make sure your colors is set on bilayer, and only then when you draw something, it will follow on the layer. So if I needed to change my line weight settings, again, bilayer, make sure everything is bilayer, then it will follow the layer that you have created before. So make sure you change this one into bilayer. Now, so you can go back again on layer properties and click some more. So let's take a look on, once we have created the layers, some of the things that we can do from here is that when you drop down, we have, first of all, we have this turn on and off. So if I don't want to see, so again, I can just click and turn off. So let me just turn off some of this. You can see we can just manage from here. On the other side over here, we have freeze or thaw. So freeze or thaw is basically almost the same with the lamp symbol over here. So basically it's going to turn off, but the freeze and thaw not only is going to turn off, it's going to unload the memory. So if you have too many stuff on your drawings papers, so if you want to make your drawing a little bit smooth because it's become very slow because too many sketches, so you can just select some of this layer that you don't need but you don't want to delete. So So you can freeze auto. So it's almost like you delete, but it still remain here. Then and you can turn back on. So once you have done this, your drawing will be much faster because you unlock the memory. So that is freeze on top. So you can also change from the layer properties. The layer properties we have on, we have freeze and thaw over here. So you can just always go back and change from here as well. Now, if you notice on the status over here, so we have this check mark shown over here. So let me just zoom in for you. So we have this check mark shown over here. So basically this means that currently this layer is on active. So if I draw some things, it will be drawn on that layer. So you need to change on different layers. So you can just drop down. Let's say I'm going to select a layer AB shell. So on the properties, AB shell is currently active. So you can also change from here just by double click. So this one will be active. If I double click on the file cabinet, the file cabinet will be active once I draw something over here. So that's the thing that to take in mind. So we have turn on and off. So we have freeze and thaw. And over here we have the lock and unlock. So basically what it does, it protects your sketches. For example, I have this particular wall that I may need to have some changes on some area besides this wall. I don't want to accidentally delete or edit the file. So what I can do is that I can make sure to lock this panel. So let me just pick some circle from here. For example, let's say I create some circles and I need to trim this particular circle, for example, and I don't want to accidentally trim this wall as well. So for that case, I can find the layer that I have, which is panel. So once I click and lock this panel, so you can see this blue symbol currently means it's currently locked, and you can see that my layer that lock become transparent. So let me just turn on back again. Okay, so you can see once I turn off, I turn on the lock, so you can see it is very visible. So if I try to trim, and even though it's touching, it does not edit. So if I try to move, it does not move because it is currently locked. So basically, it's allow you to protect your sketch from accidentally being changed. Now, you can also adjust the transparency value of your lock by going on the layer drop down over here. So we have this lock layer fading. Oops, let me just push this one. So we have this lock layer fading, which you can apply what percentage that you want. So maybe I needed to make it more visible. So I can just reduce, and then you can see it is much more visible, even though it is currently be locked. We can still change the layer fading from here. All right, so if I go back to layer properties, another thing that not currently shown over here, we have this plot button over here. This plot symbol basically means that this one allow you to print. So if you can see over here, most likely when you draw something, depth point layer will be appear automatically. And some things that to be shown over here is that depth point layers will always have plot symbol gray out. So it means depth point will not print anything. So plot basically allow you to print. If I don't want to print some of these layers, so I can just click and it will become no printing. So basically it will not be locked. So I can turn on and off any layer that I want. Maybe some layer I want to print, some layer I don't want to print. So I can just click toggle on and off. But for the depth point, it will be permanently locked. So it will not be print at all. So make sure if you want to draw some things, make sure not to accidentally use depth point if you need it to be print out. Now we have taken a look on some of these things from here. There are also some of the settings that you can find from here. So let me just open back all of these things that I have turned off. Right. So some of the things that you can find from here below these layers, we have layer off. Basically, I don't need to select from here and select one by one. I don't know what layer is this or what layer is this. So I can just simply use this off and I just select this particular layer. So everything related to that layer will be turned off. So I don't need to see this door. So I can just click and will be turned off. The opposite of that, we have turn on, layer on, turn on, layer on. What it does is basically it's going to turn everything on. So if you don't want to turn some of these settings, or if you only need to turn on some of the layers, so make sure not to use this because it's going to turn on every layer that you see from here. So the other one we have isolate. Basically, it's going to select that layer and it's going to isolate that layer. Maybe I needed to see only these partitions and I only need to see the table. So for that case, I can use isolate. So I'm going to isolate this wall and also these table layers. Then I want to press enter. Then you will see the wall and the tables has been isolated. So if you want to undo that one, you can select unit isolate. So it will be unisolate that particular layer. Now, same with the turn on and off. So we also have freeze and thaw for that particular layers. Again, so if I freeze this one, that particular layer will be unload from the memory. So if I select thaw all layers, so every layer will be shown. So I don't need to see this layer. So let me just freeze this layer. The next, we also have unlock and lock. So basically the same things that we have from here, basically the same things that we have from the settings. Select lock, select some of this layer that you need to lock, so it will unlock, it will lock all and unlock all. So besides that, we have make current. So basically make current, if I needed to make sure that the line is currently being used, currently being active, so I can select make current. So I need to select this line, and then you can see this one is active. And when I draw, it will be draw on that line. And now I needed to use this table layer. So I make current, select the table layers. It will be on the layer for the furnitures, which is this table over here. And I can start draw on that layers. Mesh layer basically allow you to change that object into different layer. For example, I need to change this box over here. I wanted to have the same layer with this yellow door over here. So I can select match layer, select the object, press enter, and then select this layer that you want to copy. It will be copied over here. So if you drop down layers, so we also have some of these settings for layers. Now, one of the useful settings that you have is you can use layers, new layers. Sorry, you can create your layer state from here. For example, I needed to off some of these things. Let me just delete this one first. I don't want this to be on. Okay, some of the layer I needed to turn off. Some of the layer I don't need to turn off. And later I want to go back to that particular settings. For that, I can save the step. So I'm going to save one new layer step, which is the default setting that I have over here. So I'm going to save this one. I'm going to rename this one as a default. So I have that one being saved. And then the next things is that I don't want to see any of the furnitures. So I can just turn off all of the furnitures. I don't want to see this. So basically no furnitures, and I wanted to save this into the view. Right. So let me just push this one out. Right. So I'm going to save this one as a new layer. So I'm going to name this one as a no furniture. So I have different types of setting over here. So if I wanted to see back the default setting, which is the default layer, everything has been selected, everything has been on. So I can select default. Now, and I want to go back to the no furniture. So I can just drop down and select no furnitures. And another thing is I can also change the view. For example, the color, for example, I want to have a layer state manager which have everything set to black and white. So basically, I'm going to set to gray everything. And I'm going to select gray. So all of my line has been turned to gray, except some of these things. So we just gonna ignore that. Then I'm going to save this one as a gray. So new layer, I'm going to name this as gray. So I have different types of states. So the default furniture, the gray furniture, the no furniture, sorry, the gray states, the no furniture state. So you can just toggle your settings from it. So it's very useful. So other than that, we have previous. So basically, previous setting that you have, you can undo that. Over here, we have changed to current layer. Basically, if you have furniture layer activate, and I want everything, I want some of the things to follow my current layer, so I can just choose change to current. Oops. Okay, sorry, that one is. So let me just. Okay, so I believe it's okay already. Okay, so this one is currently being locked. So let me just unlock that one first. Now I wanted to change this into furniture. So for that, I can choose change to current layer. So it will be changed into furniture layer, that particular object. So there are some settings that you can find from here. So if you wanted to delete, basically, if I choose delete, it's going to delete everything from here and also the layer as well. For example, if I don't want to see door layer, let me see where is the door. Okay, so we have the door. It can turn on and off. I don't want this door to be here at all. I'm going to purge this one. I'm going to delete, so I can use delete. Select the door. All of the door will be deleted. Oops. Let me just select again. So all of the door will be deleted. And you can find from here, no door is currently available anymore. So you can just use delete. So it's going to clean everything related to the door. All right, so let's go back to the layer properties. Some of the things that we can have from here is also on the filter. Now, currently you can see my my layer. So I have too many layers over here. So if I wanted to create a filter, so we have this filter, basically all, it will show all non-X reference or some of the things from here. So if I needed to create my own filter, I can just click new property filter. And let's say I'm going to only filter the green one. So I'm going to just name this one as a green. And I'm going to find from here the filter definition. You can type the filter name that you want, but I don't want based on the name. I want to based on the color. So I'm going to find on the color. So all of the green color will be shown from here. So you can see when I press OK, and then you can see I can filter my green color only. So I want all, so I can just select all, and some of the filter that you can select. So if I want everything that start with, for example, the CPU, so I can create the filter for CPU as well. Lastly, what you can do is that over here we have layer state manager. What we can do over here is that we can import this particular layer that we have, and then we can import it back. For example, some of the layer that you have applied, you wanted to import that, you want to export that one, so your colleague or your members can use back that particular layer. So you can use on the layer state manager, and then you can select export. So I have default gray and the no furniture. So let me just select all. Sorry, let me just select the default one, and then I'm going to export the default one, and I'm going to rename, let's say I'm going to name this one as a default.las, which is meant for layer states. So once I save, so I have the default one, the default file that I can send to my colleague. So if my colleague needed to need to import back, so you can just click import buttons, and you can find from here. Of course, I needed to change my file type into LAS layer state. So I have this layer state which I can open and import back. So that is basically layers that you can do. So Bona, is there any question that you would like to ask before we end the session for today? So there are many things that you can actually do on the layer. So there are many settings which can assist you to draw and manage your layer more effectively. So if you needed to have, if you want to ask something, so you can just type on the chat, or you can also unmute yourself. So if not, we can end the session for today. Right, so I believe no questions so far. Right, so thank you everybody for joining. Right, so thank you Adam, thank you CW, thank you Daniel, Dizan, Eta, Irfan. So thank you Muhammad Zam, Nadia, Nur Akila, Titi, and Lee Ahwat. So thank you again for joining our free online lesson, and I hope we can see you guys again on our next free online lesson. Stay safe, have a nice day, and goodbye. So thank you very much. Bye-bye.